welcome back, you guys. This is Lily Lavender and Jaybird coming back to you with bar shifts and bullshit.
Guys, we talked about it last week about first impressions and doing a good presentation of how you look behind the bar, and how we discuss things with other guests as they come up. And wanted to give a special shout out to Crow's Barbershop. Uh, these guys seem rather grouchy, but they're amazing. They do great work. They'll keep that fade tight and treat you right. Go stop by and see Robert Washington and some Breeding Crow down there at Crow's Barbershop on 900 Saligee Road. But today we were going to talk about
Being teachable.
taking pride out of the equation. So you've had a lot of experience with having to teach a lot of different bartenders.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all different types too. And usually up front, what is it? They don't like to be taught new things. They like to do things the way they've been doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if they're an experienced bartender or have been doing this for 2 years or longer.
2 years or longer.
They're pretty set in their ways.
I ain't gonna lie. I feel like I've done this a couple of times. I've got about the same amount of experience. What's helped me tremendously is moving from different locations, like trying different bars, working in different atmospheres, and it definitely changes the way I look at our craft.
Yeah.
The best thing that's helped me is trying our cocktails, and I've actually learned a lot from you specifically. But the big thing that's a struggle right now is not getting, butt hurt. Yeah. You deal with a lot of people that just has like a know-it-all attitude.
They
and
do.
It's not willing to learn. And granted, you've been in the profession for
25 years.
25-year veteran in bartending and service industry. So you probably know a thing or two about making a cocktail.
I don't like to let that on.
Oh, yeah.
We don't need to talk about me.
After 25 years, you think you're still learning?
Always. There's a shit ton of things that I just learned this past year, and I've mentioned it in a previous episode. And that's what bartending is. That's what the service industry is. It's constantly learning new things over and over and over again, because people do things different.
Well, and there's over 3,000 different cocktails like known, and that's just in our general population. So with that being said, there's also, you got all these different recipes for all these different cocktails, and we'll discuss later in a different episode that one ingredient changes the whole integrity of a drink, and sometimes even the name.
It does.
So that being said, like more than 3,000 different cocktails, more than 100 different ways of making those cocktails, techniques, whether it be shaken or shaken, stirred, or or rolled. So, and those are different techniques that we'll address later at dates. But for all you guys that's been in that's really honing in on your skills in this demographic and this profession, it's very, very important that you guys don't let pride get the better of you.
Definitely.
So, what is your biggest hurdle with having to train people?
Well, with training them, or like taking over a bar and trying to teach them the correct way to make the signature cocktails, there's a lot of push and pull there, especially with the ones that I was just training, because they were trained by somebody else that was already managing the bar, and then I came in out of nowhere, and I'm like, those drinks got to go in this glass for this reason, and they didn't understand that because they'd been making it that a different way since they started working there.
Well, and it's hard to look at somebody that's been your mentor in a lot of different aspects to only find out that not necessarily the wrong way, but there's a more professional and more accurate way of pouring drinks.
Yeah.
So, and we've discussed on several occasions what kind of glasses go with what, and it does. And truth be told, it does change the integrity of specific cocktails.
It does.
Like a Manhattan, for instance. It's supposed to be served straight, so like straight liquor, no garnishes, no nothing. But it's supposed to be served in a chilled martini glass.
Yes.
And a lot of people would rather have it on rocks in a Scotch glass.
Because you can't. They don't typically have a chilled martini glass hanging around, and it's gonna take a minute before you can chill it.
Right, and it's very rare that you'll find a bar, unless it's fine dining or an upscale restaurant, that you'll find actual martini glasses.
Yes.
And it's kind of a struggle. I ain't gonna lie. When you have martini glasses, the stem's real thin. You chill it, and then the glass will become brittle. So actually holding the integrity of the glass itself is kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it is. Or what's the other one? So getting offended is a huge one. There's no reason to get offended when someone's trying to help you learn something properly. It's taking it with a grain of salt.
Yeah. Now, and if there's ever like a scenario, has there been a scenario with you where you've had to actually have a pissing match with somebody that says they know what they're doing?
No, because I'd rather just shy away from it and let them do their thing.
So what usually happens to people, like when you try to show them the right way and they decide to overrule you and do other cocktails?
I let them do it.
You let them do it?
I let them do it. And then it's all going to be at the request of the customer. They're serving that cocktail too. Do you want it that way or do you want it my way?
Right. Well, and keep in mind, guys, if you, and we're having a struggle right now at work. And at first it used to bother me if somebody requests a certain bartender to make a certain cocktail. It used to bother me, really, and now I either try to learn what they're doing differently and see if it actually makes the cocktail better, or if it's something that this person got one time and is just stuck on the recipe. Yeah. Most first timers or most people that try a cocktail for the first time tend to be stuck on the way it's made. We talked about Bob in Savannah, Georgia. Yeah. Like making that cocktail that one time for that one person, and then he expects it to be made that way.
Yeah. No, and you can't keep. Well, I don't know. You can't keep doing it that way. You get stuck on it. That's great, but there's other variations of how that thing is made too. And I'm all for requesting a specific bartender's cocktail, but there's other people who are learning too that would like their time to shine.
Right.
But that comes with being teachable and learning other ways to make things. So say a bartender is making this specific cocktail and it's because they put their own little spin on it. Now it's their signature cocktail.
But now all of a sudden you got 4 bartenders that makes a drink completely different.
That's right. So at least, share that with the rest of the bartenders you're working with, so everybody's on the same page.
Would you like to share with the rest of the class? Alright, so yeah. And it's good to be in a bar where everybody makes the drinks the same every time.
Yeah.
If everybody's on board and everybody can get in an agreement that these cocktails should be made a certain way, it kind of improves the efficiency. People can expect the same experience every time they go to that bar without having to chase you. I know that kind of cancels out your networking base. I know people have their regulars and they want to be the only ones that tend to those people. But in most bars, especially in the ones we work, pulling tips is a real thing. So I mean, you're just kind of setting you guys up for more success if everybody can make the same cocktails for everybody.
That's right. That's why, like at the last place that I worked, I used to hate it when my specific coworker would say, "Oh well, Lily makes it better. You should try hers. I don't know her recipe and I don't know how she makes it, but she makes the best ones." And I'm just like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, learn.
Yes.
Take the time to address what's being made and what's doing differently. Because if you can, hone your skills and actually start making these cocktails the way they're supposed to be, you can say that about yourself. And it just kind of always blows my mind. I always want to be better.
Same.
I am very cocky on that front. And I think in this profession you have to be cocky.
To an extent.
Yeah. I mean, like I said,
don't overdo it.
Right. And don't sabotage your opportunity to learn.
So that brings us to the next point for this topic is not having secrets.
No secrets. Yeah, absolutely. Knowledge is not a weapon, guys. It's not something that you can belittle another bartender for. knowledge in this profession is a tool to be encouraged. And you use this stuff to make everybody better as a whole.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people fight the idea of this being a team profession, teamwork. But if everybody's coinciding, everybody's on the same page, and enhancing everybody's strong points behind the bar, you kind of turn into a crowd that's just hard to beat.
Yeah,
everybody wants to see it. You know, I actually miss. I've been in several different bars at this point, but there's a couple of places that I actually enjoy and miss working with the people that I used to work with. It's not that they were better bartenders or like the cocktails were great. Sometimes we were limited on what we could make.
Yeah.
But the experience that we could bring to the table was amazing.
That's a whole nother story. Yeah. Like you have a connection with the people that you work with. And that's like the best part. Everybody's on the same page. Yeah,
everybody's on the same page. And if you can joke and you cut up and play around and guests can chime in and like do their fun points. We used to
include the crowd.
Oh yeah,
makes it that much better.
Well, and it sounds like a ploy, and it really was. It was just more for fun for anything. But we would get new bartenders at one of my old jobs, and we would bash each other behind the bar to the point where oh, this is your first day. And I used to have a bartender that used to laugh all the time. She was like, this is his 365th first day, you know, and customers would chime in and they'd laugh and have a good time. And on that front, you know, you can play and you can make mistakes on that front.
Yes,
as long as you're having a good time. And at that point, guests start to understand that, you know, you're not the best, but you're fun.
You're fun. Yeah. And that's what they want, the experience, the entertainment.
Oh yeah. Like playing around behind the bar and having a good time. And that's... It
shows how much you enjoy your job, and the customers feed off of that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. But, you have some people that you cut up with on a regular basis.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yeah. You have demographics that come in and play with you all the time, and people play that off.
Yeah, I do. But they're enjoyable, and they never overstep, so...
Oh, and it's usually a huge, that's a big front, especially when you're bartending. And I ain't gonna lie, there's been a few times where I bartended and I just said what was on my mind. I was like, damn. I was like, I'm gonna take that back. It's too late. And then they'll just be laughing like hell.
Yes.
Yeah. Me and another server, and I was bartending at the time. We're great friends now. We have a blast every time we see each other, but we were mean to each other.
Oh, God.
Mean to each other to the point where I thought HR was going to get called. Yeah. And I think it was one day, and we just got each other amped up. You know, we weren't really mad at each other. We were just talking shit, and it got carried away. But we were in a bar full of people, and I looked at it, and I was like, you know what? One day, and I was playing when I said, I was like, I'm gonna fuck you up. And the whole bar got silent. There's like 10 people in there. And they started, and she's just laughing like hell. I was like, man, I'm getting fired.
Oh, my God.
But still to this day is one of my favorite people on the planet. And we still talk mad shit to each other.
Yeah, that's what it's about.
Yeah. We also grew up in the same neighborhood, so we had the same sense of humor that kind of throws people off.
Yeah. Now, being able to take criticism, take it lightly.
Yeah. Well, and if it's...
That's why you guys get to joke around and play around. As long as you're not serious about it and you just take that information and you change some things about the way you do some things with bartending, it's better.
Well, and don't be too invasive, guys, when you're teaching. You're awesome about doing this. Like, just when you're looking at somebody and be like, you know, in my experience, this has helped me. Mm-hmm. Why don't you try this instead? And you're not forcing anything on anybody. Just, your approach on how to change somebody's bad habits is a huge thing. So what are some things that you do? Like, how do you address things when people, you know, ask for, like, when you have to teach somebody something new?
Well, majority of the time they ask me how I do things. Mm-hmm. So I'll show them one time, and then the next time the drink comes up, I'll ask them if they want to try their hand at it and see what they can do different. Mm-hmm. Maybe take some of what I've just showed them and put their own little spin on it. As long as they don't overdo it, it's good. So they'll try it. the second time around and they enjoy it, the customer is happy. But if the customer is not happy, then they go back and try it again, see what they do different.
Yeah.
But I never like to push anything of what I know onto someone. I'd rather let them learn it as we go along. Even if it's slow going, that's fine.
Definitely a mama bear way of looking at it. Like, I'll show you this one time. If you make it this second time, I'll fix it. The third time, you're on your own.
That's right. That's exactly it. Because it's whether or not they're going to absorb that information.
No. Well, and I have to make a cocktail before I remember it. I can study it for decades and a half. I made my first rusty nail first time in years. I probably made one. I've made 3 total in my life.
Oh,
it's
jeez.
literally 2 ingredients. But now that I've made it and I actually got to try the cocktail, I'll never forget it. It's it's definitely one of the easiest cocktails I've ever made. But it's new. It's huge to know names of cocktails and like remember why.
Yes.
But I forgot where I was going with that conversation. But
on the rusty nail.
I forgot. Yeah, there was a point I was supposed to make on that. It was totally irrelevant to the conversation.
Oh, I got one. So yesterday when I came into work, one of the servers told me that they had to teach the other bartender how to make a Cosmo because he never made a Cosmo before. So it's a simple, easy cocktail, and he had no idea. Well, the server showed him, and he was like, "Oh, that's it?" And she was like, "Yeah, it's super easy." And he was like, "Well, I don't even know." And the server was like, "Well, this is why you're supposed to be learning new cocktails and recipes and whatnot as you go along. Like, at least learn something.
Yeah.
Don't just take what you're learning here and knowing these cocktails. You got to know other cocktails too."
Right. Absolutely. Well, yeah, and that's
and
another
he
thing.
hasn't taken the initiative to do that.
Yeah, and this job is meant to have fun, or meant to be fun.
Yeah.
And the more you know, the more fun you can have with it, and the cockier you get. Like I said, people flaunt their knowledge in the bartending game for sure. And I think it's good to hone those skills on a regular basis, learn a cocktail you've never done, and it's like learning new. This is not a good example from my point, but I've seen several people, learn how to speak Spanish or learn a different language by learning one word a week.
Yeah.
One new word a week. If you do the same thing with cocktails, you will be limitless in the
Oh, my son's doing that in the kitchen right now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's doing pretty good with it. I'm just like, what the hell?
I mean, if it works, it works.
Yeah.
And I've learned. I'm not fluent in any language other than redneck, but anything I've ever learned in Spanish or a different language, I learned in the kitchen.
Yeah.
You're immersed in different cultures on a regular basis, and it's very impressive if you're bartending for somebody and they don't speak your language, or if you can pick up on some quips. Mm-hmm. It's a good way to find out if somebody's talking shit too.
Oh, big time.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun.
But definitely go to your experienced bartenders too. You can kind of tell who's got knowledge behind certain crafts and have been doing things. And obviously, there's many different styles of bartending in between fine dining, flair.
Well, then here's a question for you. You're getting ready to help open up a new bar.
Yeah.
You're looking for prospective new bartenders and servers. Mm-hmm. So what are you looking for in a bartender?
Honestly, what I'm looking for is 2 different type of bartenders, and I've kind of got my eye out on several different prospects. I want some people that are heavy hitters. They're not afraid to take initiative when they make drinks. They're willing to learn new cocktails, and they're willing to take initiative in knowing other cocktails outside of what our list, kind of goes through.
That willingness to learn.
Oh, willingness to learn is huge. And for me, it's if you can take initiative, you can handle the crowds, and you're not afraid to work. That is all I'm looking for in bartenders.
Yeah.
And if you're willing, so actually, I've had help. You and I both worked on a cocktail list for this new place.
Yes, we have.
And I can't take credit. I can't take credit, full credit, and I'll give credit where it's due. You've definitely helped me out with the cocktail list, putting this place together. But I need bartenders that are willing to take the time to learn these cocktails and make sure that they're all made exactly the same way.
So you'd even look at people who've never bartended before.
I would consider it. I am looking for specific bartenders that have experience or whatever, but I love to teach. I enjoy teaching the craft. And if you have a serving background or if you're working, this is what I look for in bartenders. Obviously, not everybody makes things the same way, and we've discussed that. But if you're willing to do things, and I want a consistent, heavy-hitting team. I want people that can control the crowd and do well with guests, keep your head on a swivel, and make sure nobody's getting neglected. Those are some big things that I look for. If you can do well under pressure, and if you're willing to learn the drinks as they're set in front of them, because if we're all serving the same cocktails over and over again, it stays consistent and people are excited because they're not getting a different variation of drinks. Yeah. But that's what I'm looking for as a newbie, somebody that's just not afraid to learn new stuff and keep pushing themselves beyond boundaries. Because the more you know, the more drinks you can put out, the more alcohol can be sold. And that's the bread and butter, and that's what people are looking for in ownership in this bar. So my goal is to make sure we can crank those numbers up. Yeah. Whatever we can sell it. Then owners are happy. We're all happy because we're all pitching in and making good money.
That's what it's about.
But so as far as like newbies, people that's never really bartended or have a limited amount of experience, I'm looking for fast-paced, willingness to work, and being teachable.
Oh God, fast-paced. Yes, definitely need somebody who can move behind the bar. Because if you've got somebody that's walking around slowly making a cocktail, talking to the customers, you're not going to increase on anything.
Right. Well, and those are those quick quips, man. You don't have to have a full conversation all the time, especially if you got 30 people at the bar and you're only paying attention to 2. Yeah. If you only got like 2 people at the bar, by all means, take your time, have a great time, enjoy the company. But if you got 30 people at the bar, I need you making 30 drinks like it's nothing.
Yeah, take the order, get through them fast, and help me make these drinks for the servers.
And we've discussed this at an earlier episode. This is the job for anybody that can multitask. Yes. It is like ADD guys. This is for you.
Definitely.
So I need you to be able to put in a quick quip, like in a conversation, exit the conversation. I need you making drinks and spitting this stuff out. But if I'm getting experienced bartenders, what I need is to bring your experience, keep your pace, like you've done this before. I need you to know how to make cocktails, but I need you to learn the cocktails that I'm making for the cocktail list. This is a teachable thing. We're doing it. They're signature cocktails for a reason. They belong to the business. Yes. So they belong to business. They don't belong to you. Make them that way. And it sounds very adamant when I say it like that. It sounds a little shitty. It really does.
But you're coming into a business. It's not your business.
Yeah. If they ask for a cocktail that's not on the cocktail list, by all means, make it the way it's supposed to be. You can put your own spin on it. You can call it what the name's called, or whatever wherever you get it from. That's cool. But don't change the cocktail list that's already there. It was there for a reason, they belong to the business. Yeah. So we start changing them, and you start changing it, and people start expecting a cocktail that they're not getting. You lose your consistency.
That's it, and you need the consistency.
So I'm looking for a very specific crowd when I'm opening this location.
So I had a funny thing happen to me the other night. We were closing down, and we do the shift drinks and whatnot. So I asked the employees what they want. Well, it's a new employee, and he had requested a specific martini. Now it goes back with not being too cocky, being teachable. He doesn't know who I am. He's never worked with me. Oh, yeah. He doesn't know how long I've been a bartender for, the fact that I can make drinks. So he was like, so I want this specific martini, and it's going to be a gin martini, but can I walk you through how I want it made? And I said, yeah, of course. He was like, oh, great, because every time I ask somebody to do that, they get offended. Yeah. And I was like, no, I'm not going to get offended. Please tell me how you like your drinks made. So I made it for him. At the end of the night, he walked me through it, and it was super easy. It's how it's supposed to be made. I was surprised that he wanted it that way. But he was like, oh my God, this hits the spot. I was like, perfect. But he said that he hadn't had a gin martini since the beginning of this year, and he is so happy that I know how to make them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so never get offended when somebody asks if you can make something a specific way.
Yeah.
Or
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's their drink.
it is. It's their drink.
Like
they're the ones that's gonna drink it.
Yeah,
it's not us.
They're paying for it. It's like going to a tattoo artist and be like, "Well, I want this," and then
Yes.
you're like, "You know what? This will look better." You know, I mean, and don't get me wrong, I've got several tattoos, and I've had tattoo artists come up to me and be like, "You know what? I think this would look better. Like I think a cobra tattoo would look better than a bird." No, it's not what I asked for. And making cocktails is no different. So don't be afraid to ask questions.
No.
If you know these veterans that's been making cocktails for a decade and a half, obviously they've got some experience behind the game, and if they know the answers, they're a good reference point to go to.
They are.
I had a buddy not too long ago. I've sold drinks with Campari in it. I've sold Negronis, and somebody asked me, stumped me, and I hate being stumped behind the bar. But somebody asked me, like, what is Campari? And I was like, dang. I was like, it's a liqueur. It's Italian. And he was like, okay, what flavor is it? It's like damn. Like, I don't know, man. I was like, but the guy was pretty cool. He started laughing at me. I was like, you know what? I was like, I don't personally know this. I was like, I know a guy that knows a guy. I was like, I'll be right back with the answer. And this guy, I've known him for 10 plus years.
Yeah.
I actually used to be a bouncer for him way back in the day. I was his bouncer for a bar he was bartending at.
Oh.
So I've seen firsthand what his experience is when we were talking about it. And I was like, hey man, I was like, what flavor is this? I was like, this question's never been asked. He was like, Campari, that's orange rind, man. He's like, I was like, so it's like triple sec. He's like, no, it's not at all. He started laughing. He's like, no, it's the rind, and I knew this. The rind is a completely different flavor than actual orange.
Yes. Like
you don't go into an orange eating the peel. You peel it, but that peel has a specific flavor.
Yeah.
Especially when you're making like a Manhattan or an old fashioned where you rub the rim.
Yeah.
With a peel, it brings a different kind of zest.
It does, and that's what bitters are made out of too. Specific bitters.
Yeah. Well, and that's like was it Aperol? It's a bitter. I didn't know that. It's an aperitif. So when you drink like an Aperol spritzer or anything, it's actually supposed to be before a meal, and it's supposed to help. I just learned this recently.
Help digest.
Yeah. It's supposed to help digest the meal before it comes in. You're supposed to have it's what they call it. It's a digestive. How do you say that? It's not aperitif, but it's said with a D. I'll Google it later. But it's supposed to help finish the course. So if you start with an Aperol spritzer, you're supposed to find something that helps digest the rest of it, like the rest of your meal at the end.
It has to do with the stomach linings and the whole process.
Yeah.
It's like a whole chemical thing, but. That's what I keep telling people is bartending is all about chemistry.
Yeah, chemistry chemistry never stops. So
it does not.
Chemistry between your coworkers, and
Yep.
it's the chemical cocktail compounds when you're making cocktails. All of it plays a factor. So you can be the next Dolph Lundgren in your chemist work, man. This stuff is actually a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoy this profession.
Yeah.
And it never ends. People are always evolving, and there's 100 different ways to improve as a bartender. And the biggest thing is just don't turn your nose at pain.
No.
Don't turn your nose at an opportunity to learn. I've really enjoyed what I've done for the past few years, and I've really enjoyed the fact that I can't stop. You know? Like it never ends.
No, it doesn't. And that's why I enjoy it so much. It's exactly like the medical field and being a nurse. You're never not learning something. It's that willingness, that eagerness to learn.
Yeah, you just take away the pressure of like keeping somebody alive. Well, in most instances, you just make sure you don't kill nobody.
It's the same with bartending. You need to know how to limit them.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's funny, but so as far as professions go, I can't really think of something I'd rather be doing.
No,
the evolution never stops. And I know at some point I would probably. Would you you manage now.
I do.
Yeah. Do you think that was a hard step, or would you?
It was really, it was difficult because I told myself after my first location over here in Bryson that I was never going to manage another location.
Mm-hmm. And you got swindled.
And I was like, well, damn it. If I'm coming back, I might as well manage it because then things could be done properly. We can watch the overpours. We can make sure the cocktails are being made correctly. We have such a high tourist rate that these tourists are coming in with different cocktails that these bartenders have never heard of before.
Mm-hmm.
But I have.
Yeah.
So we can add our own little flair to things, you know?
Yeah,
and now I'm finally getting glasses that I need to make correct cocktails.
Right.
And so that's huge.
Well, you've bartended all the way as far as like the West Coast.
Yeah.
So obviously everybody's got a different style, and their pour standards are
Their pour
completely
standards
different, right?
are different because a true shot is 6 ounces.
Yeah, see here, 3.
Or sorry, 6 ounces. It's a 6 count.
That's 6 count. Yeah, 3 ounces. Yeah, it's 3 ounces.
Yeah.
Here. So a true shot is a true
shot and a half.
Yeah, a shot and a half. But legal limit per cocktail is 3 ounces here.
Yeah.
Right. And we'll kind of elaborate on that on a further date when we start discussing ALE.
Oh, good
And we
Lord.
will address that, and I know people are excited about that conversation. We're building up to it.
Yeah, that's a huge topic.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, main reason is because we both work for locations on the reservation,
Man.
and that's our entire alcohol laws is all here.
Yeah. Well, and North Carolina is, top notch and known for their laws. And, they're rough. They're rough laws a lot in North Carolina. When I was thinking about it not too long ago, is when I was in Hawaii, I got one of those big pineapples where they scrape it all out and put it on there or whatever, which I guess is like a high end pina colada. It was supposed to be meant for couples, but I drank one all on my own. It was great. But she had poured 4 different runs in it and counted forever.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I couldn't feel my face after I was drinking that. Like I'm surprised I even made it out of that tiki hut.
Oh jeez.
Which I don't know if they have ALE laws and they just don't care. But like she had a blast, man. Like I was just sitting there having a conversation with her. Bottles were still turned up, and I was like, like I ain't gonna be able to taste this. And,
well, I mean, like even in California, there's you can't have over a certain amount of ounces of alcohol per drink.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it's not as strict as out here.
Yeah.
And then in Nevada, they just don't care.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Well, in Nevada, they give drinks away for free at certain locations, right?
But they do in Mississippi too.
Yeah. And Biloxi, I think is another one. I've heard rumor if you place a certain amount per game, you get free cocktails.
Yes, and then on riverboats.
Mm-hmm. And Carnival cruises.
Yeah.
If you pay for your alcohol up front. So that, sounds nice in theory. So, but different outlooks, different laws, and we'll be addressing all this at a later date.
If you're traveling as a tourist and not a bartender, you got to keep in mind you need to know the state you're going to and what their alcohol laws are like. Because if you come in and you're asking for a Long Island and you already know how much alcohol goes into it, keep in mind in North Carolina we're not allowed legally to pour the correct amount in there.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody says, oh, you can't even taste the alcohol. Well, for very good reason. We can't pour it legally.
Yeah, and that's actually a really, really good point and a hard struggle here. Georgia is we're borderline Georgia, and people come from Georgia, and their ALE laws, I don't even think they have them. Yeah, they have
They
ALE
do.
laws, but they're nowhere near as strict as ours in North Carolina. So,
well, it's not a North Carolina thing, not just a North Carolina thing. It's a reservation thing.
Yeah, it is a reservation.
It's stricter on the reservation than it is in North Carolina.
Well, they have a bigger ALE unit here.
Yes,
like they have a full department for these laws to be enforced here, where the state of North Carolina really doesn't.
So, like here on the reservation, a shot is an ounce and a quarter.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's what a shot is. But a true shot is an ounce and a half.
Yep. Yeah.
So they're cutting it.
Yeah. Big time. big time. But I mean, ALE catches you pouring further than that.
Yeah, you're in trouble.
It's a hefty fine, and more or less, it's one of our jobs, depending on the situation.
So if you're counting a pour because you're an experienced bartender, you better be counting it correctly based off of ALE laws.
And if you ever need practice, I know different areas in this over here in Cherokee, they require you to take a monthly pour test if you free pour, and I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think it's good to kind of re-up and make sure you're not getting too comfortable behind the bar.
Because that happens a lot.
A lot of people get comfortable with their counts and they start doing one Mississippi, and then all of a sudden the IPBI keeps going further and further. And so the drinks get way, way heftier.
Yeah.
So guys, don't rule out the opportunity to learn. Be teachable. Keep everything on the up and up. Keep evolving.
Yes,
it's
definitely.
It's just going to make you a better bartender. Like I said earlier, knowledge is not a weapon to belittle another bartender. So if you know something that someone else does, like, they're only going to be better because of your influence. And if they don't want to learn, they don't want to learn. But I fully recommend that if you're with somebody that has tons and tons of experience, like my best friend here, always take the time to learn something new. I think that's going to be a huge benefit. It's going to benefit you guys as a whole.
Ask questions.
Ask plenty of questions.
Yeah.
And that'll be the bread and butter of this career path here. Because once you stop learning is the day that you stop being a really good bartender. But guys, thank you so much, and I appreciate it. If you guys would mind listening in on the next episode, we'll give you a holler next week.
Yep. Don't forget that we enjoy comments, advice, and new topics, and you can send them to our email at barshifts, plural, and bs@gmail.com. Ooh, but we are going to close it out with our cocktail of the week.
Cocktail of the week is going to be Bloody Mary, and nobody makes them better than you.
I got suckered into this one too. Okay, so this is how I make my Bloody Marys. I muddle. So I muddle 1 lemon slice, 1 lime slice, and 1 olive in half an ounce of olive juice. And I'll add the Les Perrins, which is like 4 drops. I'll do maybe a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, black pepper. And then muddle that all together. Depending if they want it spicy or not, I prefer mine spicy. So 3 jalapeno slices with like 4 drops of Tabasco is perfect. You add your shot of vodka or gin or tequila. They're all called something different, but they're just as enjoyable. You shake it all up with Bloody Mary mix of your choice, unless you make your own, which I do make my own.
What's in your own? Like, for the people that's never made it and has always had that presented to them, how do you make your Bloody Mary mix?
My Bloody Mary mix, I use cayenne pepper, paprika, that thing that I can never pronounce,
Worcestershire.
That one.
Worcestershire.
Yes, I add that in there. I use Old Bay's. I also add pepper and salt. So, and you can use tomato juice if you want to make it from scratch. Just use regular old tomato juice. Any kind will help. But yeah, it tastes really good. Ooh, I do love to add olive juice too. So it's extra olive juice, but it just gives it a different type of tanginess.
Yeah. And as far as garnishes, guys, it's pretty much anything that's not nailed down.
Yes. I do love to rim mine with salt, and if I like to get bougie, I will rim it with Old Bay.
I've seen people use like bacon wrap straws and crazy shit. And Slim Jims. I've seen Slim Jims in cocktails.
That's what we do.
And celery.
And pepperoncinis.
I don't know what it is, but people love celery in their Bloody Mary. Won't eat celery unless it's got peanut butter on it. But they'll put it in a Bloody Mary. So.
But yeah, you'll shake that all up and you'll put it in a pint glass because it's full. Definitely full. And so that's a whole breakfast right there.
Yeah, a whole breakfast, and I think that's why people love it so much.
Yes.
They get everything all inclusive in one 16-ounce cocktail. But guys, thank you again. Hope to hear from you guys in the comments feed. If you'll email us, make sure you guys stop by and see everybody at bars or everybody at Crow's Barbershop.
Crow's Barbershop, yes.
Took a left turn there. Yeah, stop by Crow's Barbershop, get lined up. They'll take very good care of you guys, and I hope to hear from you guys next week.